One of the reasons I feel like I have such an appreciation of the radical statements that Sheryl is making has to do with the fact that I have now spent time in many boardrooms and many venture capital offices having conversations with people who are shocked that women think that this is not a meritocracy. And it is fascinating the degree to which seeing statistics and feeling the reality are so different. And there are many stories like that being told, at this conference and of course on your blogs. I want to ask you specifically about the Lean In Foundation. And in a few minutes, we're gonna get to some more questions about you, Sheryl, personally, et cetera, because we all have a million. But what is the foundation's mission? What do you want to accomplish over the next, let's speak in huge terms for internet people, 5 years?
We want to provide women with the encouragement and support they need to lead. We want women, we're going to ask all of you to do it, to write out, what would you do if you weren't afraid? We actually have a photo booth back in that corner. You go take a picture there, or just, we have signs, take a picture, post it anywhere and hashtag not afraid. But what we want women to do, and men, is to believe that we can get to real equality, believe that women can have as much voice as men, women sitting at every table. We want to close the pay gap. Women get paid 77 cents for every dollar a man makes for the same job.
Or as Viviana Hurtado from the Wise Latina Club recently wrote, I'm Latina, so can I pay $55 for that $100 worth of groceries? Because I'm paid 55 cents on the dollar.
That's exactly right.
And she said it on, I believe, MSNBC as well.
No, that's exactly right. So we're running 3 programs. We have the Leaning Community, which I hope you'll all join. It's a very active Facebook community on Facebook and on our site where women are telling their stories. There's a woman here named Catherine Stone who has written, but I haven't met yet. Where is she?
Catherine, where are you?
She's somewhere. Okay, well, her story is one of them. Can't quite see her, but her story is one of them up there, and she talked about how she was in corporate marketing and she suffered really serious postpartum depression and then lost her job. And obviously that's a scary thing, but then she founded a blog on postpartum depression, and now she's running the #1 blog right on that side.
And led national legislation as
well.
well.
She's done an amazing job. So this is about sharing our stories and conversing with each other every day, and that's our community piece. The second piece is our education piece. We have expert lectures, everything on how to negotiate for a raise, to dealing with gender bias, to building great teams. Excited to announce today that we've had 60,000 views of the lectures.
Great.
About 20 minutes each, it's a big deal. And so invite anyone, they're online for free. The idea there is we've taken material that is developed by the Clayman Institute for Gender Research at Stanford that would normally only be available to executive women who can pay high price tags, and filmed it and put it all online for free so that any woman at any stage can have access, which we're excited about.
Fantastic.
So
if you go to leanin.org,
there's the community, there's education, and the third piece is circles. And so we're actually going to have a breakout session in this room after this. I hope lots of people will stay. I'm going to stay and participate. An amazing professor from Stanford, Carol Robin, is here, and she's going to lead us through the power and an exercise which really shows the power of small group sharing, and I'm excited to participate, so join us. And Rachel Thomas, who's right there in the orange jacket, Lean In president, she's going to stay and talk about circles. We're excited. We're also announcing today that we have over 7,000 registered circles, which is pretty exciting. You don't have to register with us, so we don't actually know how many circles there are, but we have at least 7,000 because those have registered with us. And circles are small groups. We suggest 8 to 12, but it can be any number you want, of men or women who get together every month to meet and help themselves lean in. And it's been amazing what's happened. There's a circle in San Francisco I met with, and they went around the room and each one of them told me what has changed in their lives since they joined their circle.
May I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Because you are very specific about the circle philosophy. It is not the same as a coffee clash or getting together once a quarter with your girlfriend for a 6-hour dinner where you tell her everything. So what is special about the way a circle gets together? And I know that some people have to speak later and not everyone will be able to stay. I'm sure many will, but can you boil it down for us? Like, what's the secret to a successful
circle. So the idea behind circles is that none of us do this alone. None of us stand alone. We all need support, and peers can be incredible mentors. We have a lot of material. We actually spent a lot of time looking at best practices, everything from health groups to support groups to book clubs to microcredit. We looked at all the best practices and kind of tried to gather them. Our recommendations on there are suggestions. We have seen all kinds of circles. There are circles that have 100 people. It's a lot to do real sharing. There are circles that have a few. There are circles that are meeting weekly, monthly. There are father-daughter circles, Asian American circles. There's all kinds of circles, and so anyone can do what they want. But there's a couple things we recommend strongly. We recommend that people are really committed to getting together, if it's once a month or whatever, that they're really committed to each other. We recommend very strict confidentiality, meaning that what is in that circle stays in that circle, and that is something we heard over and over again, that small groups will stay together when there's trust, and they fall apart immediately when there's not. And we also recommend that people look for peers. So it's not, if you're really sharing openly, it may not be the best place to be in a circle with your boss.
Okay.
Or your clients. Peers. People for whom you can totally share. And then we have lots of materials on how to structure them if you want to use them, but it's also, we're seeing all kinds of things happen. And we hope whatever people try, they'll come back. One of my favorite is a virtual circle of bloggers. They came together in 5 states, and then they started a blog called Breaking Glass and Kicking Ass.
That's awesome. One of the things I want to mention quickly, and I'm going to veer slightly into your role as Facebook's Chief Operating Officer, and then into a little bit more about you. One of the leading questions I got from the community when it was mentioned that we were going to talk is about the whole hashtag Facebook Rave initiative. And I wanted to know if you could talk a little bit about the steps Facebook has taken. Certainly you have your code of conduct that's been up for years, but it's a massive and growing international community. What are you all doing? How can a community like this one help?
Yeah, no, it's a really important question. I'm glad you asked. So, Facebook's a user-generated site. We have 1.15 billion people who write things themselves. We don't filter that content. It's impossible to do that. So we have this really big challenge between free expression, which is really important, right? We don't want to be in the business of censoring, and creating a safe and protected community. We take both very seriously. If you look at our community codes, they are the strictest of any out there for any site at scale. We do not allow pornography, we do not allow nudity, we do not allow anything which is symbolic of rape or any of these things. We have a challenge enforcing those principles. We really do, because the content comes on and we develop technology to find things, and we really rely on people to report things. And we are doing our best to make sure the community is protected as possible. The number one thing people can do is when you find content that's inappropriate, there's a report button. Hit that report button, because we can look at and take down inappropriate content as long as we see it. And that is a really important part of what we're trying to do.
Thanks. Your role as COO just had a fantastic and successful quarter announcement. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what's the future for you? Are you going to run the joint someday?
Yeah, no, I'm doing about all the leaning I can do right now. But I love Facebook. I love Facebook probably for the reasons the women in this room love writing and you love the work you do, which is that Facebook gives individuals voice. So the women in this room, you guys have voice because you can publish blogs, and you have voice. You are a successful journalist and marketer and BlogHer, and I have voice on, helping to run a company. But most people out there don't have voice because they can't really communicate. And if you look back, a couple decades ago, if you wanted to actually reach people, you had to be rich, famous, or own a TV station. And Facebook's helping to change that by giving every single individual the power of their own voice and their own platform to publish, and I love that. And so I'm going to continue to do it. I'm also very dedicated. I don't work on it full-time, they do, but my amazing lean-in team that is growing this community and supporting women around the world. I'm really proud of them.
You mentioned that you're leading in about as much as you can. I know you have 2 children. What are their ages?
6 and 8.
Okay.
We just had a birthday.
Congratulations.
My daughter tried to make it her birthday month. You get a day or a week, not a month. It's my birthday this month. Can I stay up late? It's my birthday this month. Can I have ice cream for breakfast, right? You've all been through that.
And you're married. So what do you do when you get stressed personally? I mean, how do you manage all of the leaning in?
I watch really bad TV.
What's your favorite?
Well, really good TV. Yes. Well, I just watched the whole season of Girls, which is not bad TV. It's excellent TV. And I just watched the whole first season of Nashville, which I loved.
Oh.
Yeah, awesome.
Oh, Connie, I know. Maybe next year. They're phenomenal. It's really well written. That's the interesting thing, right? So when you look forward, are we ever going to see you seek national office?
No. Okay. This is again about all the leading I can do. I really like working at Facebook, and I love what Leading is trying to do, and I love being able to do it.
Well, do you have any questions for us that you want us, as we draw to the end of this conversation, what would you like for us to do?
I guess it's the same question. I would want every woman here, to ask yourselves, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And answer that question. Take a picture, post it publicly, or just do it for yourself if you prefer, but really ask yourself that question. And then inspire the women who are reading what you write. To push back on sexism, to push back on the pay gap, to get women to demand what they need. Watching what's happened since Lean In has been amazing. Everywhere I go, senior executive men look at me and say, "You are costing me so much money." Because all the women in my company are demanding raises. And to them I say, I'm not sorry at all. I'm thrilled. I was at a conference 2 weeks ago, and one of the men who's a CEO told me that he really started to notice how women don't physically sit at the table, which is in my book. If you look at meetings in the corporate world or the nonprofit world, in institutions, relative to level of position, more men than women sit at the center, sit at the front, and women sit at the side, and they do it metaphorically. Not all women, but more. And I think what you all can inspire women to do is sit at the table the way you all are today, use their voice to be ambitious and get whatever it is they want, and do it as Melody would do it, unapologetically.
Excellent. Well, everybody, Sheryl Sandberg.